Hello, my name is Una and welcome to this week's Granny's Garden. Well, this week we're going to be having a look at how to prune Photinia Red Robin, which is Photinia X Fraseri. The most wonderful thing about the Red Robin is that any type of new growth is this bright scarlet red colour, which is very, very attractive. And if you prune it right all through the growing season, you're going to get this bright red tips all through the growing season, practically from April right up until September. What I'm going to be showing you today is how to prune this shrub on a regular basis so you do get this bright red growth all the way through the season. Now, I did promise in previous videos that I was going to give you some updates on things we have done. So on our way down to the end of the garden, we'll stop off at a few places and just see how things are getting on. Right, this is the first thing I want you to look at. Now, this was the Spirea Bridal Wreath. This was the one that had the very, very severe pruning. I wanted to rejuvenate it because it was all leggy and it was towering over the neighbour's hedge. So it got cut right back, and just look at it now. It is recovered, it's bushy, and it's already got these beautiful wiry stems, which are the ones we're looking for, that are so attractive when they fill out with flowers in the springtime. But this is what I mean about this shrub. You really can go to town pruning it and rejuvenating it, because I had a big, thick-stemmed, tall, leggy, very ugly Spirea, and now I've got something that looks like almost like a plant that's been just recently planted out of a nursery. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're back at the olive tree at the entrance to the fairy garden. In the video I had removed every one of those sprouts and suckers from around the base. I call these trunks sort of like my arms, and then they end up in a hand and like in a knuckle shape, and then these beautiful frothy branches should spread out from these knuckles. Whereas here I was having a problem because this wood was obviously dead. It should never have been let to get to this white wood. Now, initially I was going to leave these to take over the growth from the top of the knuckle. However, since removing all the suckers below, I have now found that I'm getting new growth right up on top of the knuckle, which is fantastic news. So what I can do then is, when the pruning time comes around early next year, remove these white branches, come back to the actual knuckle itself, and what I'll do over the next couple of weeks is come in and take this off because it's no longer necessary, and we're going to concentrate our efforts around here. So absolutely great news there. Couldn't have wished for more. Before heading down the garden, I just want to stop off at this little plant, which I'm growing for the first time this year in my garden. As you can see, it's like a little cone shape with a little top knot on top, and the one beside it is just beginning to open. You can see it's got like little white flowers, which can be either white like this or slightly yellow waxy colour, and this gorgeous little top knot on top. And the common name for this plant is the pineapple lily, because it actually does look quite like a little pineapple. Now, this plant is native to South Africa. It's hardy to zone 9, and now, as you all know, I garden in a zone 6. So I have this plant in two areas of my garden. Another one coming up there. What I want my plant to do is I'm going to lift the bulbs in one area, and I'm going to mulch the bulbs in another area. And I'm going to have a look and see if the ones I just mulch are going to come back next year or not. Always experimenting. To give you some information, as we said, this is a South African plant, hardy from zone 9, but I may be able to give you some updated information if we can change that or push the limits a bit. It grows in full sun to partial shade. Its ultimate height is about 12 to 16 inches, which is about 30 to 40 centimetres, and it does like to have good drainage. The last update is the silver maple. Is, can I grow a tree from a stump? Well, as you can see, you can indeed. If I get in close, there was a stump. This was the one I chose, and you can see it is now turning quite woody, and it has grown really tall, and it's getting all these side growths as well, which is fantastic. Got all of these. It must be well over 7 feet tall now, and it's still growing. So fantastic. Now, I had a second one that I decided to take out last week because it was a bit stunted and it was a bit crooked and I didn't like the way it was going. So all my effort now is centred on this one to regrow this silver maple tree and get it back into good condition. So far the experiment is working. You definitely can grow a tree back from a stump. So right next to the silver maple we're regrowing is the Photinia Red Robin. Now, as I stated previously, all I've done up until now is lop it down and let it regrow from the cut down branches. Basically what I'm doing with this garden is zone by zone, tree by tree, shrub by shrub, taking it under my wing, seeing what the problem is, trying to sort it out, put it into a maintenance schedule. It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be by season, and then move on to the next problem. By doing the rejuvenation pruning last year, I've at least resolved one of the problems. I've now got a bushier plant, it's lower, it's manageable, but because it hasn't been treated for insects, I've got aphid problems, I've got insect problems, and I have actually seen 1 or 2 locusts around, and some of these big bites in the leaves, see if it focuses. Some of these big bites are probably locusts. And certainly new growth is always attacked by aphids. So how do you go about keeping your Photinia Red Robin like a red robin all year round, or all through the growing season at least? At the beginning of the growing season you don't have to do anything. Mother Nature takes care of that. It'll grow, and that new growth is going to be a beautiful bright red colour. However, little by little over the weeks it'll turn into a lighter green and then a darker green, and then the foliage is basically going to be this colour. I come in and take it down 6 inches. Each tip I take down 6 inches. We want to take the tip out just above an out facing bud. Now, let's see if I got an owl. Right, here's a good example. If you see on this stem, you've got, let's see if I can get it. Yeah. You've got a bud that's swelling there and a bud down here that's swelling. The difference is this bud is facing inwards. You see, this is the plant. And this bud is facing outward. So if I were to cut at this point, just get a little stick here, you can see it. If I were to cut above the inward facing one, the branch would grow off in this direction right into the centre of the plant, and we don't ever want that. So I'm going to be cutting above this one, which is facing out, which is going to cause this bud to break dormancy, and it's going to come out this way, leading out away from the centre of the plant. So I'm going to set the camera up and we're going to start the tip pruning. That's basically what tip pruning is. It is so easy, and you'll have the bush looking beautiful the whole growing season long. How often can you do this type of pruning? Mother Nature will take care of the first red growth, and then you wait and have a look, and when you see it going to a light green and then a darker green, leave it maybe a week and then come back in again. One thing is very important though. This is an evergreen, and it does go into like a dormant state in autumn and winter. So your cut-off time is going to be basically mid-August to end of August. If you cut it at mid-August to end of August, you're going to get this flush of red, the last flush of red during the month of September. And then it's going to have time to harden off and heal itself before those first frosts arrive in early November. You need everything to be hardened off before those first frosts, because you don't want any frost damage on your plant during the winter. And you want to arrive next spring with a healthy looking plant. That's enough from me for this week. So, if you have liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to join me every week on this journey to recover this very neglected garden, a very problematic old garden, I'd love to have you along, so please subscribe. So for the moment, from me, Una, and from Glennie's Garden, it's bye from me.